Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have some new information to share with you guys. I have polling data about Donald Trump's disastrous Iran war. I also have some pretty fun videos to show you guys about or with Trump supporters, like total Trump minions, one in particular who is one of the biggest Trump pumpers, now saying that basically Donald Trump is trash that needs to be taken out to the curb for trash pickup day. So definitely want to stick around for that. So first, I'm going to dive into the polling. Before I do, please hit the subscribe button below this video. It is free for you. It really, really helps the show. So thank you in advance for doing that. So here's the deal. On Monday, there was a Reuters Ipsos poll that was released. You guys may have already seen this one. I saw it covered elsewhere. But only 27% approve of this war. And then you have 43% who said, no, we oppose it. 30% who said, I'm not really sure. So that was conducted February 28th through March 1st. I imagine that as this war rolls on, the polling's going to get worse. Because here's the thing, this is very odd. This is not normal, historically speaking. Like, it's a normal feeling. These are normal sentiments. But typically at the very beginning of a war, you see everybody rally around the flag. You see people like the most positive about it. Yeah, we're going in, we're doing it, America, America, right? To see that you already have a major plurality that is against this, that is a really bad sign. And then there were similar results in a CNN poll. So it was conducted over the same period of time. And this one is really interesting. So there's more of a breakdown here. So here's what they found.
A new CNN poll found that nearly 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of the airstrikes on Iran. 59% of Americans say they don't trust President Trump to make the right decisions on the use of force in Iran. 60% of Americans do not believe the president has a clear plan on how to handle the situation. Separated by party, 77% of Republicans say that they approve of it. Independents 32, Democrats 18. The question of whether young voters, this is 18 to 34-year-olds, support these strikes. 71% say that they disapprove.
So yeah, you've got two groups that help to put Donald Trump back in the White House. Young voters and independents. And they hate this. They absolutely loathe what he's doing right now. And speaking of young voters who helped him get elected, check out this video. So this is a white supremacist podcaster, Nick Fuentes. You guys all know who he is, I'm sure. He started the whole America First movement. He has this whole, big audience of people who young voters who love him. They're called groypers. So he told his audience that basically don't vote for Republicans. Ditch them. Take a look.
Movement is something else now. And what we need in 2028, this is our last chance. We need in 2026 for this administration to be shut the fuck down. What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle money through government contracts, and bring us to war for Israel? This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms. And if you do, vote for Democrats. Fuck this. That is what the Republicans deliver. That is what our golden age looks like. The tariffs were refunded. The deportations were stopped. They wound down and withdrew the ICE from Minneapolis. What does this administration do other than embezzle money, go to war with Iran, and bury the Epstein files? Oh, and blackmail Harvard so they police anti-Semitism and ban people who criticize Israel from being in America. This administration needs to be shut down immediately. It has forfeited its mandate. They promise no new wars. They promise mass deportations in America first. And we're not getting any of it. So shut it down. In 2026, shut it down. And our only hope is that in 2028, in the Republican primary, somebody will emerge who will actually put America first. I am not voting for the vice president and the secretary of state that brought us to war in Iran. I won't do it. 2026, shut it down. You got to burn the house down with them inside, metaphorically. And in 28, you better hope that somebody has a prayer to run the Trump strategy and do another hostile takeover over the GOP. Otherwise, I'm going to become a Democrat. Like, at that point.
So he's contemplating becoming a Democrat, telling his audience to vote for the Democrats, and they're done. They're done. Like I said, JD Vance is just in the worst position right now. He is Kamala right now. He can't break with Trump. He can't say, no, I disagree with this, because he will get slaughtered by the Kool-Aid drinkers. But yet, if he doesn't do that, he's screwed, because the America Firsters are like, this is not what we signed up for. And JD's going along with it. Marco's going along with it. So they're screwed. They are absolutely screwed because of what Donald Trump is doing, and they're just standing by his side silently. And then it gets worse. So check this out. Conspiracy nut Alex Jones. He just went on a total tirade, total tangent on his show and compared Trump to a broken lawnmower. You're going to love this one. Take a look.
I won't sell out against America first. And if I start seeing Trump sell out to whatever, I'm not going along with it. You can put a gun to my head, it's not happening. But I love the idiot neocon Johnny-come-lately Trump supporters that, like, if you don't support whatever Susie Wiles wants or whatever the new war is, you're not a patriot. You're the fake MAGA. Dude, I'm not MAGA. I'm 1776 worldwide. I'm a populist American. Make America great again? How about make America free again? And then if Trump at the end starts going sideways, it's like you got a lawnmower you mow the yard with for 10 years, and then one day the engine blows, and it's cheaper just to get a new one than to replace the motor. You're like sad about the lawnmower that the engine blew up, but you just put it out at the curb, you know, when they do the trash pickup once a year for, you know, appliances and stuff, and you put the old refrigerator out there, the old lawnmower, and, oh, you were a good lawnmower, bye-bye. It's like, I'm not mad that I had the lawnmower and cut the grass and did all this, and now the lawnmower's broken. Right now, black smoke's coming out of the lawnmower, and it's sputtering and having it's on fire. So I think this lawnmower is probably done. But I'm very proud of the, you know, thousands of times I cut the yard with it. It was a good lawnmower.
Oh my God. Okay, so a few things on that. I mean, first of all, did you notice how he says, oh, MAGA, you know, the MAGA base, Johnny-come-latelys, they get upset if you say, oh, I'm not going to go along with whatever Susie Wiles wants. They never blame Trump. At least I have to give Nick Fuentes credit for at least calling it out. At least he names Trump. At least he says, this is Donald Trump doing this. These are his choices. These jackasses, these fake populists, like this guy, Alex Jones, they're so wimpy. They're such cucks for Trump. They're such betas that they refuse to blame him. This is his war. He decided this. Susie Wiles wasn't in meetings with Netanyahu. It was freaking Trump. Okay? He made this decision. Just say it. You freaking cowardly assholes. So that's one thing. But then, what I didn't play was that Jones was saying, oh, Democrats came to me and they tried to get me to sell out and they offered me $50 million to sell out. It's like, you're so full of shit. The guy lies so much. It's unreal. I mean, it's not unreal. This is why he's a Trump supporter, right? Birds of a feather and all that jazz. So yeah, they love each other because they're both freaking liars, consummate liars. Anyway, so this is just, more of the broadcasters in the manosphere melting down, telling their audience, hey, we were wrong. This is not the right thing to do. Some of them have more, I guess, courage than others. But I mean, we've heard it now from Andrew Schulz, Fuentes. This is not the first video that Fuentes has made about it. Tim Dillon, Theo Vaughn, like all of them. Even Joe Rogan has said some negative things, although, he's still sticking to his guns because obviously he's too insecure to admit that he was wrong. But anyway, the thing is that Trump doesn't seem to give a damn. He's not changing course. He's not doing anything different. And if anything, he's doubling down. If anything, he's doing more of what his voters dislike. So that's why I believe that there's something going on, that he has something up his sleeve. He acts like it just doesn't matter because he doesn't have to worry about the voters and what they think. So anyway, and then getting back to what the voters think, the Washington Post just reached out to 1,000 Americans. They reached out via text. They received a bunch of feedback. So I want to show that to you guys. So here is the first one. So as you can see, there's a combined 52% who either somewhat or strongly oppose the bombing of Iran. So now we have a majority. As I said before, I think this is going to get bigger and bigger. 39% either somewhat or strongly support it. And then this survey shows overwhelming opposition coming from, again, the very crucial voting bloc of independents. So if you look at the breakdown by party, you can clearly see, I mean, independents are not on board with this. Okay, 28% support it. They voted for Trump. It was a majority who voted for Trump in 2024. And they are now pretty damn close to the Democrats in their views. There's also a generational divide and a gender gap on this topic. So the Post said that men are pretty much split evenly down the middle, but a majority of women oppose this war. So 58% disapprove, only 32% approve. So you're getting down to Trump's hardcore Kool-Aid base. And then it's a similar breakdown if you look at different age groups. So when you look at the voters of 40 and under, over 60% oppose the war. And then if you look at the voters over 65, they're like the men, they're pretty much evenly split. Here's some of the comments that they received from people who are against this war. So a 43-year-old woman, she's from Texas, and she said this: "It's not our problem." And then a 33-year-old man, Tennessee man, an independent, said, "We have to focus on our country." And then you have another one. This is a 54-year-old New York woman, also an independent. She said, "He ran on a platform of stopping war and has not only failed to do so, but has carried out acts of war." So that was just a small sampling of the negative comments. And then check this out. So a sizable plurality, as you see here, 47% say that the U.S. should end the bombing. And that figure, by the way, if you look at the crosstabs, that includes 51% of independents, 76% of Democrats, and even 16% of registered Republicans. And this next question, this is just annoying. So the answers to this last question that they asked, it just shows how naive some of our fellow Americans are. It's frightening. As you can see here, they asked, do you think the U.S. military actions will or will not contribute to the long-term security of the United States? 49% said, yeah, this is going to make us safer long-term. Are you freaking kidding me? There are now Iranian parents whose children we just killed. We're bombing and killing other innocent Iranians. And their entire country is now under siege. So, you had a newer generation coming up in Iran that didn't see the U.S. as evil, right? They didn't live through the Iraq War and Afghanistan and all the other crap that we've pulled over there in the Middle East. We now have an entirely new generation of Iranians who will see the U.S. as an evil empire, who heard the stories from their parents and their grandparents and maybe didn't, fully understand or buy into it. So do you honestly think this new generation isn't going to now turn against us? And that we don't have to worry about terrorist attacks here in the U.S.? Or, that Americans are going to have to be on high alert anytime we travel anywhere, looking over our shoulders? It's absurd. And then I want to share one last thing with you guys, because we have to weed out these ridiculous Democrats who are practically Republicans, who are supporting this illegal war. So there were 6 House Democrats, sellouts, who voted against the War Powers Resolution. This was brought by Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, and this would have blocked all military action unless Donald Trump got congressional approval first. Here's who they are. Here's who the sellouts are. Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey, Jimmy Panetta in California, Henry Cuellar in Texas, Greg Landsman in Ohio, Jared Golden in Maine, Jim Costa in California. These are all Israel lapdogs. These are the people who take tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from the AIPAC lobbyist group, the DC lobbyist group called AIPAC. That is 100% why they repeatedly vote against America's best interests, why they vote repeatedly against what their constituents want. Because they don't represent America. They don't represent U.S. citizens. They represent Israel. They represent the Israeli people. That is where their loyalties lie. We need to shut this shit down. We need to get rid of all of these sellouts, and we need to get rid of AIPAC. They need to be considered a foreign terrorist group almost, because they are actively working to pull the strings here in our country and make our government do things that are making us less safe, that are putting our lives at risk, our country at risk, and do things on behalf of Israel that doesn't benefit us. While Americans here are struggling, while Americans here can't afford health insurance, can't afford groceries, can't afford gas, and all of this is going up now, while we're handing them billions of dollars, giving them all kinds of weapons to go murder other people. Anyway, guys, never thought that, I would be on the same side fighting with a white nationalist, a white supremacist by Nick Fuentes, but here we are. And no, I don't agree with him when it comes to Jewish people. I find that reprehensible and heinous that, he hates Jewish people and talks about them like they're the most evil thing on the planet. I just hate Netanyahu. I just hate the Israeli government and everybody, all the alt-right, far-right psychos that are in charge over there. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.